Schnapp has had a full-blown cancel movement formed against him, but he's coming out clear that he's not apologizing.
I've had it to about here with Amy Schumer. Heaven and hell exists. Amy Schumer will be chilling in hell next to Satan's balls.
I don't take any of it personally. We're all just trying to live our lives, and we all project on each other, but I want people to be happy and empathetic.
The system of apartheid is the Israeli state's oppression and domination of Palestinians on a daily basis. It's the laws, the policies and the practices that it puts in place and then implements to control Palestinians' daily lives. The crimes of apartheid are those acts, those violations, those patterns of violations that Israel is committing to create and then maintain that system of apartheid.
So boycotting celebrity culture has been in the news, even more prominently so since the recent Met Gala in 2024, because social media has juxtaposed images of celebrities at this Met Gala, which is alongside images of people in Palestine and Gaza surviving the ongoing genocide set against them by Israel. And this all speaks to the dystopian nature of capitalism right now, how celebrity culture is coming to an end, how we've been intaking dystopian literature, fiction, film, with white people at the helm of the revolution, while also being in a capitalist society that's white supremacist dominated. So we have a lot of things that I want to unpack. This topic is the perfect way to engage with what I've been talking about a lot lately, which is Billy Porter's history of Zionism, his pursuit of this new biopic project that is about James Baldwin, and also why Black people turn to Zionism and capitalism, and what this current moment really says about most people's relationship to capitalism and parasocial relationships, and why so many people are angry, because I do think a lot of things are happening. There are a lot of reasons why people are being critical of celebrity culture, but it's important to pick apart why and how it's happening. And I think social media has a lot to do with it. The Met Gala recently happened, and each year a different celebrity and fashion-oriented guests are put on the board, and they help kind of dictate and guide what the theme is in the event. And this year's theme was Garden of Time. It is an event that shows the peacocking of the celebrity elite. Amazing, innovative event where fashion and art is at the helm and the forefront, and innovation is happening. Yet outside of the Met Gala this year, people were protesting. People were tackled and arrested by police for protesting Palestine. All around New York for the past number of weeks, protests have been happening, U.S. encampments, and celebrities get to descend upon New York and have their little show of fun. The Met Gala's sort of heightened exorbitance of wealth and all of the peacocking and the extravagance juxtaposed alongside images of Palestinians and Gazans surviving a genocide, surviving carpet bombings, pleading for help and humanity from people all around the world, especially celebrities. Putting these two images alongside each other are prime social media fodder, because I think with Instagram and TikTok and the internet, so many people have talked about how we're developing parasocial relationships with people that are surviving genocides in other countries. And Palestine is the greatest litmus test for this. And so what does it mean that when the masses in the West are both judging their parasocial relationships with celebrities, which seem highly inauthentic, which seems based in capitalism, which seems based in this deep sense of emotional marketing, versus the parasocial relationships we have with people that are surviving genocide, that are talking about world powers, that are encouraging ways that we can be in solidarity with them? Which side of the equation is going to move people in a culture and economy where our attention span is lessening and lessening and lessening? I've been making a lot of videos about the controversy behind Billy Porter saying as far as 2023 that he is going to co-write, lead act in, and co-produce a forthcoming biopic about James Baldwin. James Baldwin is a famed revolutionary writer. If you haven't checked out any of my other videos on this, I have 2 other videos, but mainly this controversy stems from, one, Billy Porter's support of Israel pre-2023, October 7th, but since October 7th, Billy Porter has signed a letter in support of Israel saying that he supports their response to October 7th. And since then, he has done numerous interviews, notably his Guardian interview that came out about a month or 2 ago, where he said that this movie about James Baldwin is going to be about civil rights, not about the Middle East. He doesn't know about that shit over there with the terrorists. Like, really horrible historical reductionism to barely meet the realities of what's happening to Palestinians. Like, when I tell you that Israel is going into Rafah and pushing people out, bombing it, torturing people, People are evacuating some of the last places that they have in Gaza. Images from CNN have come out of literal torture camps, concentration camps made by the state of Israel by a culture of people that have survived their own Holocaust. So we have a lot to dig into. One of the biggest things that's missing is how different groups of marginalized people are incentivized to support the project of Zionism and settler colonialism. If you check out my last video on how Billy Porter is stealing James Baldwin's legacy, I talk a bit about how Billy Porter and Byron Allen use this justification of Black capitalism, of getting what they need for their community to be justifiable cause to support the Zionist cause, because Jewish people supported Black people during the civil rights movement. And what I don't like about this claim to Black Zionism is that it squashes history into these sort of palatable narratives about how Jewish people fought for us and we fought for them, when the realer complexity is that among Jewish people, there were some that didn't give a fuck about Black liberation and civil rights, and there were some that stood toe-to-toe with us and went up against white supremacists. Just like right now, there is a spectrum of Jewish people that are pro-Zionist, pro this genocide, are spewing propaganda. And then there are Jewish people that are for a two-state solution. There are Jewish people that don't believe the state of Israel should exist in the way that it does now. There are Jewish people that are against genocide and are also a part of the protests to demand a ceasefire. And so when Black people fold Black and Jewish history into this sort of palatable way of understanding solidarity, it ignores how, yes, Black and Jewish people should be in solidarity with each other, but towards the cause of liberation. Because essentially what Byron Allen and Billy Porter are pushing for is solidarity based on the subjugation of other people, which I don't think anyone should support. And getting their own also means that they don't have to care about that terrorist shit that's happening over there. Pure ignorance, pure Western colonial ignorance, which is why it's important to call that out. When do police or military tell the truth? And this to me is pure propaganda. World human rights organizations have documented for years, if not decades, the forced displacement, the undue arrest, the torture of Palestinians, the kidnapping of young people, the decimation of their cultural artifacts and landmarks. All of these are a part of an ongoing process of genocide, and I think it's important to keep up with the news and name these specifics, because Palestinians aren't just going through a hard time. They're not just going through a genocide. They're going through systemic, militaristic, and extrajudicial operations done by the state. For Black people to look at this and be like, oh, that's fine, it means you're evil. People like Billy Porter and Byron Allen don't support a deeper humanity. They support a humanity that props up their ability to succeed, and that is usually built in someone else's subjugation. All around the U.S. and the country, U.S. encampments have propped up all around university campuses, whether it be Brown University, Columbia University, various universities here in Ohio. And there have been reports of students holding down buildings, holding down encampments for days and weeks on end. In the past few days, NYU and Columbia's encampment has been dismantled. There's been mass reports of violence at University of California's Los Angeles campus, where for a period of time, the police left and allowed pro-Zionist protesters to go in, pepper spray people, tear gas them, and beat them up. And so when we're looking at this situation, we should not only look at what the Israeli government is doing, the propaganda that they're spreading, but also what the U.S. government is doing and how it's reacting to free speech, to anti-fascism, to protests done by marginalized communities to call out a genocide that the U.S. is currently funneling even more billions of dollars into based off of this recent aid package. We can really understand and see how the U.S. is trying to align itself as much as possible with the project of Zionism, while also claiming or being able to have plausible deniability about the fact that it cares about human rights, that it did drop some food and some aid towards Palestinian and Gazans. But really, in a human rights crisis during a genocide, what is really needed is state intervention from governments that are humanist, that want a ceasefire, and are willing to apply economic and political pressure to the state of Israel. Once we change our relationships to these institutions, to these people, these figures that represent power, we can begin to change their impact on our lives, their impact on the media, their impact on the political sphere. If we don't give politicians the power to dictate what our political reality is, what can that mean in terms of solidarity for Palestinians? If we don't fixate all of our attention and desires on celebrity culture and wealth and this influencer economy and the American dream, Where else would that attention go in terms of being able to be in solidarity with Palestinians? What would that look like? And in this part of the video, I want to dig into why we're at this moment now where people are calling for an end to celebrity culture. Celebrities from the Met Gala or the Oscars or the Golden Globes are being called out, and people online are calling for a digitine. And I'll get more later into what that actually might mean. This controversy around the Met Gala, to me, just really shows that I think a lot more people are demanding that we use the privilege of our attention a lot better. If you notice, since October 7th, there are so many content creators that have gone full force into talking about colonialism and Palestine and Gaza and Zionism. And people keep saying it is important that we don't turn away from this. And spectacles like the Met Gala or the Golden Globes are prime examples when celebrities, when influencers, when the rich get to turn away from the realities and atrocities of what are happening for the sake of their careers, which is not good, especially since there's a lot of Zionists in Hollywood. And this call to end celebrity culture is especially interesting to me because for a year after I graduated college, I was a boycott organizer in Seattle, Washington. And this experience was really interesting for me because I trained a lot in how to rightfully antagonize angry people, how to make people uncomfortable when they were crossing the picket line, how to accost people outside of stores, how to call people and be like, you're supporting a company that hates their workers. And I really learned a lot about antagonism. And what I think is interesting about this call to boycott celebrities and for an end to celebrity culture, it is really about the masses demanding that we change our economic and social relationship to celebrities and to the elite. The point of a boycott is to create a crisis point for an institution or for a person so that they begin to make their decisions differently. When you're a boycott organizer and you're researching people in an organization and you're power mapping and you're figuring out where their phone numbers are, where they work, where their schools are, you're surrounding someone that has the power to make a decision or to sway an institution. You're surrounding that person with crisis, and that crisis compels them to act differently. And these calls for an end to celebrity culture, to blocking celebrities, I think the blocking thing and restricting celebrities' access to more data and more ad money is an interesting thing. And I really want to dig into the numbers of what this potentially could be and the impacts of it could be at some point. What I hope this turns towards is a further democratization of how we look at media, how we spend our time, who we turn to in terms of who are the educators, who are the people that we admire. Because at the same time that some people are calling for a digitine and for an end to celebrity culture, a notion of the influencer economy and even notions of celebrity are spreading more to more of the masses, to regular people, to nano and micro influencers. And so I also question, how does this call for an end to celebrity culture relate to our fascination and need to have social media, to build platform, to be a part of this ongoing machine, which is also profiting off of every single thing that we upload? Like, YouTube is going to profit off of this video once I upload it. I love that the respectability of how people are relating to celebrity culture is what respectability is demanding, is that when these celebrities get on stage, when Kim Kardashian is going to get an award, that people don't boo her, that people don't make her uncomfortable at events.
I know a lot of people make fun of your height. All right.
When people are class traitors, when they hoard wealth, when they're complicit in political processes that benefit genocide while also trying to emotionally market themselves as socially responsible in other ways, it's disingenuine and it deserves to be called out. This digitine, and for those that don't know, digitine is a kind of phrase that's come up on TikTok of people relating the Met Gala and the call for let them eat cake to Bailey, Babley. I don't fucking know this celebrity's name.
We gave them their platforms. It's time to take it back, take our views away, our likes, our comments, our money, by blocking them on all social media and digital platforms.
She wore a dress that was a take on Marie Antoinette, played clips from Sofia Coppola's biopic of Marie Antoinette, and it's like the whole let them eat cake thing. The digitine is calling for a digital guillotine of the rich, of the elite, of celebrities because of their complicity during genocide. What I think is additionally interesting in this conversation about how celebrity culture is ending, the ways that the public is realizing that celebrities tend to weaponize identity and also how they try to weaponize relatability. If we're looking at the Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence being in the Hunger Games, here is a white actress portraying a teenage girl during a revolutionary process, someone surviving direct political exploitation, someone that's surviving genocide, bombings, warfare. Fast forward to now, over the years, people have been tired of Jennifer Lawrence and her whole relatable personality. Her image has shifted, and now she is saying that she is in support of Amy Schumer, who's very much a pro-Zionist. This question of relatability, I think, is everywhere. It's in the influencer economy, Drake beef, where so many people are starting to criticize even more Drake's exploitation of various aspects of Black culture as a light-skinned person. Right now with the Met Gala and the calls for the Digitine and people saying that we need to boycott celebrities. And I think with the calls to end the James Baldwin biopic by Billy Porter in mind, I want to leave this video with the question of where does Zionist compassion begin and where does Palestinian suffering end? And if I'm hoping for an answer to this question, I believe that calling for an end to celebrity culture, to criticizing the elite, to pushing for boycott, divest, and sanction of Israeli companies will push Zionists that are on the side of demanding a one-state solution, of supporting their military, of buying into propaganda, to turn more towards a ceasefire, a two-state solution, or an end to Zionism as we currently know it as a settler colonial project altogether. Where I hope Palestinian suffering ends is right now with the ceasefire as immediately as possible, with aid being given to Palestinians, with their futures being ensured by investments and reparative processes that would hopefully help them begin to work through and heal through generations of violence, generations of displacement, and generations of torture. The reason that people are doing this now to celebrities is that I think in the West, we're seeing the evils and the fruits of the American dream. We're seeing climate collapse come closer and closer. We're seeing our current President Biden's inability to really confront this ongoing atrocity, his inability to really be a moral voice amidst everything. And we're also seeing masses of people rise up and saying things that politicians and the government won't do in order to be in solidarity with Palestinians. And I think the push to end celebrity culture mixed in with public mass demonstration and consciousness raising will begin to get us to a better place in terms of how we relate to the elite, how we can shift these power dynamics, and how we can ideally call for an end to this genocide and relinquish our relationship from really being invested in celebrity culture and desirability politics and all of the other isms that come along with it. Thank you for watching this video. I really wanted to do a really quick video to kind of contextualize these things because I've been seeing this a lot in the media. It's been really interesting to me. If you haven't checked out any of my other videos on Baldwin and celebrity culture and Black culture, I have a lot on this channel. And I want to thank every new person that subscribed to my channel. I just reached over 5K. And it's really exciting to see people reacting to my musings on history. And I'm never here to tell you what version of history is right or what exactly to think. I'm either going to present my opinion or I'm going to explore a topic because I'm interested in it and I'm interested in engaging in the research. And if you want to support me, please, please, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I will upload early access to all of these videos on this channel on there. And I have a few other ideas for what I want to dig into on my Patreon, or follow me on my other social medias. And if you want to buy my book, I do have a book out. It's titled When They Tell You to Be Good. It's about my political coming of age, about my travels to places like South Korea, Philippines, France, about mining patriarchal violence in my family's history, and about what has made me the radical adult I am today. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think about this call for an end to celebrity culture. Do you think it's real? Do you think social media is just kind of fronting? Or do you think people are really ready to boycott? Because I saw them booing Kim Kardashian and it made me happy. See you next time.